I've been running Facebook advertisements for over a decade now, and in this video I want to share with you my exact strategy for running Facebook ads for not only myself but for other people that has also brought about a great level of success. So I'll be going through the exact ads, the thinking, creatives, the setup, the landing pages and everything. So basically you're getting an executive overview of how this all works and how everything works together. So if you're interested in this, stay tuned because I won't be holding back. Let's go. So one of the first things that I do before I start running any advertising campaign is actually plan. Sometimes I physically write down the concept and the strategy. Sometimes I think about it. It's always better to write it down, so practice writing it down. But I oftentimes ask myself, who am I trying to reach and what do I want them to do and what would make sense for them to do? So that's something that I do before I start every campaign. So for this video, I'll be showing you my advertising strategy for Stewart's Greetings, which is a customized products and wedding stationery company that I own that is also located here in Jamaica. My primary target audience is actually brides who are getting married, and these are people who want wedding stationery, so wedding invitations, programs, cake boxes, table numbers, thank you cards, and a wide variety of other products for their wedding. So the thinking that goes into any advertising campaign is, what would these people want to see before they've become comfortable, before they trust the brand, before they actually take out their cards and pay their money to get these items? And these things would be samples. All right, so my goal of my advertisement is not to actually sell them at the get-go. It is more about invite them into my world, into my email, into my WhatsApp, into a conversation with my team about samples. So we're sending them samples. They get to see stuff that they like. And if they see something that they like, then hopefully they'll become a paying customer. So that's the thinking. With that, then I'm also thinking about, how do I get them to this point, right? What do I give to them? So one of the things that I've been doing for many years is actually offering them a free wedding checklist. So I oftentimes try to add value before I ask for a sale. So some time ago, I came across the idea of give, then ask. So I try to give value, give helpful tips, give something, a printable checklist, budget and other things before I even ask them for anything. Give them samples because you're actually inspiring them. When you send samples to these brides, you're actually inspiring them. And I know that this video is about the advertising strategy, but too often we get caught up into the platform itself and miss out on the strategy, what we're actually doing, what would make sense to the client, to your target audience. And that's why I'm spending this amount of time actually speaking about this before we even jump onto the computer and see exactly how this all works, right? So I think about the offer as well. What am I using to entice them? And of course, at this stage, you'll be thinking about exactly who these people are, what they like, what are they trying to accomplish. So in my case, my brides are trying to have a fairy tale wedding. They're trying to make an impression with how everything looks, from the decoration, from the look of the stationery. They want their guests to be in awe when they enter the wedding day, or even before the wedding day, from the invitation stage, from the save the date stage, right? And I want for you in your business and in your strategy to think about your customers' end goal. What benefit are they going after? What problem are they trying to solve? What pain they're trying to avoid? What's their desires? What are their fears? And then, of course, you can begin to make a list of words that will resonate with your brides. Not your brides, but with your customers. Of course, I do brides. With your customers, so that you can incorporate that into your overall marketing campaign, especially when it comes on to writing words, copywriting, right? So I made a list. I don't know where I put that book, but I made a list of words that comes to mind for my brides. And stuff like beauty, impression, wow, those are, what do you call that, onomatopoeias. I'm now no English expert. Fairy tale, destination, just words that resonate with brides so that I can incorporate that into my advertising copy. I also think about their struggles and their pain points and how we can overcome that. And that's one of the things that you would also want to do when planning out your campaign. You want to think about, what are some of the common objections that they have or challenges that they have, and how your offer will help them to avoid those challenges and in fact solve those challenges or solve those problems, and be explicit with it. And that's another common mistake. We avoid explicitly stating how our problem really solve their needs. So we might just advertise in a general way. For example, let's say you're a plumber, right? We might just say, hey, need plumbing service, call this number, and it's sort of dry. But you can say some things like, if you call us now, your plumbing problem will be fixed in 3 days, And not to say that you're going to say some unrealistic thing, but if you know that a part of your service is to actually fix the problem within 3 days of getting a phone call and agreeing with the client and giving an estimation, within 3 days it will be fixed. Say that it will be fixed in 3 days. If you know that you can deliver by the next day, don't just leave it as something unsaid. Say it. Customers actually want to hear these things. So in our case, we say that it will be on time. We say that you'll not need to go to multiple rounds of revision. And even though these are sort of expected things, by explicitly saying it, it has a different kind of impact on your clients, right? I know the word irresistible offer is going around on the internet, and it's something that is real, and it's something that I believe in. But there are times when you don't need to come up with any crazy offer in terms of a special offer or discount or buy this get this. Sometimes just simply stating how your service works will really bring home a lot of points. We're getting into the strategy, guys, but we need to know what we're doing before we actually jump onto the computer, because too many times I see beginners make this mistake, and I don't want you to make this mistake. All right, so once you've decided on what you will be advertising, then of course it starts with coming up with the ad itself, the concept itself. And that's where, design, copywriting, wording, text will come in. I'm going to jump over to my computer here to show you an example of the kind of ad creative that I use for my advertising campaigns, right? So this is just one of them. I have several of them, and I'll be showing you the ad library in a minute. But this is one of the main ones, and I have variations of this one. But as you can see, it has a very eye-catching image of the bride, of someone that looks like a bride, which immediately connects with your audience. So you always want to show imagery that instantly connects with the persons that you're going after. So if you're going after persons who drive a BMW, then show a person who has a BMW with a BMW key in his hand and a BMW car parked beside him. If you offer services to maybe fix BMWs or whatever it is that you do for BMWs, right? You can show the team. That's a good one too. Showing a team, show you at work, show the person offering the service. But you want to show something that will instantly connect with your audience, because that's your goal. You want your advertisement to be sort of disruptive, especially when it comes on to Facebook, right? You want it to grab their attention. So in my case, I show an image of the bride here, and this is a screenshot, so it's a bit blurry. I'm going to show you a clearer one now, right? And it has the wording, Jamaican bride, what will they say about your wedding, right? So it has a call out, so it is mentioning in the first line, and we call this above the fold in advertising, right? They don't need to click see more before they can see this, right? So it's everything that you see before clicking see more. So it says Jamaican bride, so it's speaking directly to Jamaican brides, right? So if you are a Jamaican bride, then this is for you. If you're not a Jamaican bride, then you don't stop and look at this ad. And that's what your advertisement should do. It should attract who your intended audience is, and it should repel persons who are not a part of your ideal audience, right? So that's why we want to state it here, and you should say that. And that's what you need to do. You need to mention who your target audience is in the above the fold portion of the text, right? And then you can, of course, get into the copywriting. For the imagery, Again, show an example of something that will instantly resonate with your audience and is relatable. In this case, a bride. If you're getting married and you see another bride, then you will likely stop and look, right? And then I'm of course showing examples of the products. I'm going to show you a more what we call it, a better looking image of the ad. So this is what it looks like, a higher resolution version. So this was done, of course, inside Photoshop. So I created this inside Photoshop. You don't need to use Photoshop. You can use something like Photopea. And there are other platforms. I don't like recommending Canva because Canva templates tend to look very generic, very off brand, and as a result I don't like to recommend very template based type of advertisements, right? So this is what it looks like, so they immediately know what it is about. And remember, in our case, we are not going for the sale. I tend to run lead generation ads, and we're going to get into that now. But the idea behind this is that if someone does not know me, then or know my company, then seeing me for the first time, seeing the company for the first time, it will be a very slim chance or very low probability that they will feel comfortable actually placing an order instantly. We have had that, but more often than not, these people tend to, do a little bit of research, check out our website, have conversations with us before they feel comfortable placing an order, right? So that's the goal here, to get leads so that they can see samples, right? And the call to action is actually in the ad creative itself. So I'm going to jump over to Facebook ad library. So this is my Facebook ad library for Stewart's Greetings, and as you can see, there are 2 other variations of this ad. We also have some other ads going on which advertises a free wedding checklist, and they all are a part of the same overall strategy, right? So we have some checklists which a lot of ad creatives that shows the checklist in various forms, just so that we can reduce what we call ad fatigue. And that's a pro tip. If you want your ads to not the cost per click or the cost per result or cost per acquisition to go sky high, have lots of advertisements. You experience ad fatigue a lot whenever a person becomes acquainted with your ad, right? They see the ad so often that they just ignore it, they scroll past it, and it is just totally ignored. And once the algorithm on Facebook picks up on that, then the cost of your advertisements will go sky high. So you want to create various creatives showing the product offer in various forms, right? So this is what it looks like, right? So once they see this ad, they can of course click to read more, and then you want to ensure that your copywriting has a call to action. I oftentimes include a link inside the ad copy itself. So I say a lot of nice stuff, if you want to see some samples, in fact, let me read it, right? That's why we're here. We're here to actually see a real advertising strategy in action, right? So it says, Jamaican bride, what will they say about your wedding? Right? Sparking some curiosity, like, what will they say about my wedding? I want to know. Will your guests be raving about how stunning everything was, or will they forget the moment they leave? Your wedding is no more than just a day. It's a story. It's a masterpiece, a moment frozen in time. Every detail should whisper elegance and leave your guest in awe. Again, elegance. Those are some of the things that they go for. Frozen moment in time. So you want your ad copy to sort of connect with the experience that your target audience is going for, right? Imagine their eyes lighting up as they hold your wedding invitations, right? That's what they want. Brides want their guests to be in awe. They want a moment of standing innovation or whatever it is they call it. They want to make an impression. That's what they want to do. They want to make an impression. So your ad copy and imagery and ad creative should point to the goal, the end game of these people, right? Again, I'm using an example of brides, but you should think about it for your niche, for your industry. and what your customers are actually going for. The delicate design, the rich texture, the feeling that this is the beginning of something extraordinary. We don't just print stationery, we craft memories. And again, we're getting into now the social proof. With over 14,000 brides trusting us across the island and more than a decade of experience, we know how to create breathtaking invitations, programs, boxes, and signage that feel as special as your love story. And yes, and this is what I'm saying about stating the obvious in your offer. And yes, they will be on time, they'll be perfect, and they won't cost you a fortune. So if you know that you offer prices that are very competitive, very reasonable, without compromising on the quality, then state it, right? And want to see samples in your wedding colors and theme? Click here and then the link to the landing page for them to actually opt in and see the samples. We can't wait to share something magical with you, and then the ad creative itself, right? So this is how I typically structure my ad creative, and I follow what we call the PAS copywriting framework, which means problem, agitate, solve, right? So once you follow that, and I have a video on that, I'll share it somewhere up here or here for you to check it out to see exactly what that is. But that's the framework that I typically follow when it comes down to writing ad copy, right? So once they see this ad, they would click it and they would go to the landing page. But before they click this ad, I want to get a little bit more into really how these ad campaigns are really set up. So I'm just jumping over into my ad manager, and this is what's going on right now, right? And it's nothing complex, and I won't even go too deep into it because it is so simple. I need not go through the process. If you're watching this video, the assumption is that you should know a little about advertising. You're here to get this overall strategy. But if not, still stick around because this is very simple and this is something for you to learn even if you're a beginner, right? When it comes on to advertising, especially now, Facebook and most of the other advertising platforms like Google, right? They are very, very smart. They are using AI technology. They're using a lot of algorithms and programming information and data science on people to know what to put in front of them. So before I used to need, before this era that we're in the world of advertising, we had to do what we call interest-based targeting and other forms of targeting where we got super specific with who we want to show our advertisements to. And those options still exist today. But today, what is being recommended and what is getting professional marketers results is what we call open targeting, where you literally just choose the location of your target audience and maybe the gender, right? And that's it. We don't get too defined with, okay, brides who recently got married or persons who drive a Ferrari or persons with an income above this or that. No. Sometimes those things can actually hurt, especially nowadays, can actually hurt your advertising campaign. So we practice open targeting and let the ad creative itself, the image and the wording, do all the heavy lifting for us. And that's a pro tip, and that's something that you should embrace and follow. Practice open targeting. It is helpful. It also helps. It also gives Facebook the freedom to find new audiences for you whenever a particular audience or group has been exhausted. It can shift it based on data, based on behavior, based on what Facebook sees these people are doing, based actions that they've taken, things that they stopped and looked on. They know these people, so they know whether or not your advertisement, based on what it says and what it shows, will be ideal for them. And of course, it tracks them to see if they're engaging with it, to know if we find more people like them, right? So open targeting is what it is, right? Since I'm going after leads, then the campaign type that I use is what we call lead generation, right? So there are two advertising campaigns that experts really double down on: sales, optimizing for sales, or optimizing for leads. There are about 5 or 6 options, campaign objectives that you can choose from. and those have very specific use cases like engagement, or we might think that we need, in my case, we want to get persons to the website. We might think that we want to get website clicks, but my goal is to not get people to the website. That's not my end goal. That is a part of the process, but it's not my end goal. My end goal is to get leads. So you want to optimize for what you call the final or the furthest trackable thing in your advertising campaign. That's one of the things that you want to do. And the furthest trackable thing that, in my case, I want to do is actually get a lead. So yes, they will need to go to the website, they'll need to opt in, they'll need to fill out a form, but ultimately I want these people to become a lead. All right, so that's what you do. With that, you will also want to set up your pixels. So this is something like a piece of code that you will actually get from Facebook and embed that onto your website, so that Facebook and your website can communicate, so that they know what kind of actions these people are taking on your website. So in my case, what I did, I created, well, I have a page which is, let me see, this page here, right? So once a person opts-ins, they are taken to this page, right? After opting in. So you know what? I think I'm jumping ahead. So let me just jump back here. So once after a person clicks the ad, right, they're taken to this page, right? If they click the one that has the checklist, they're taken to this page. And after downloading the checklist, which they would click this, and it will bring up a form for them to enter their details, then they are then taken to this page for them to opt in, right? So that's for the checklist advertisement. The advertisement that I was showing you earlier that had this image, this one brings them directly to the page that is actually requesting, that is allowing them to opt in to get samples, which is this page. So the checklist, you have the checklist page, then after the checklist page, then the request sample page. That's one advertising campaign. The other advertising campaign is directly from Facebook to the request samples page, which is the page that we're on right now. So on this page, it says, want to see some drop-in wedding stationery for your big day? We'll send you some amazing looking invitations and cake boxes. Amazing looking invitations, programs, cake boxes, guest books, signs, souvenirs, and more in your wedding colors. And here we have a little intro video of myself speaking directly to them and showing, you know, like my team, the office, and a little snippets of what we do. So
Jamaican bride, it's Michael here.
this is what it looks.
Stopping by Jamaica's most popular place for beautiful wedding invitations, programs, cake boxes, thank you cards, menu cards, guest books, and other stationery. We'd love to send you some samples as well as some pricing details. Here's what to do. Enter details in the form below and we will send you some samples of our most sought after wedding stationery as well as some pricing details based on your guest amount. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Right, so this is just a quick video that shows a little bit of what we do, just to present ourselves as, you know, people who know what we're doing. We have an actual office location, we have actual team. I had a clip there with a client who was actually in office. Here we had, so she was actually in office, looking at our shelves and picking, touching and feeling physical invitations, right? So we're using these things to build up trust, because they need to know, like, and trust you before they can actually become a paying client. And a lot of the times we miss this, and we question why we're not making sales. We need to go through the proper courtship, right? Date. We need to date our clients. And you know, a nice example and a common example that people use when explaining this is that in terms of relationship, right? If we just meet a girl, or if you're a woman and you just meet a guy, it's not on the first day that you would actually ask that person to be your one and only, right? No, there's a process that you go through to communicate with each other, maybe send each other text message, maybe hang out a bit, maybe go on some date nights, you know, go grab some food, have some conversations, more conversations, maybe meet some people together. And then over time, you guys would have built a relationship and begin to know each other and begin to really value things in each other before you can make a more serious commitment, right? So it's the same thing here in business, right? So once they're on this page, they watch this video and they say, okay, this seems cool, this seems legitimate, then they will click this button here, right? And then a form will pop up for them to actually enter their details. And on this page, I also included a few testimonials just to, again, reinforce that social proof element so that they can trust the brand more. Remember, know, like, and trust. And even after that, then another button here, right? So once they've opted in, which is simply again to enter their name, phone number, email address, and then in this case, because we want to send them samples, and we also want to qualify leads, right? All right, and that's something very important. You don't want to just get bare bone information, name, email, phone number, right? This can sometimes hurt your advertising strategy because it may lead to you getting a lot of low quality leads. But the more hoops these people need to jump through before they can actually send you something, sometimes generally the higher the quality is. So there's a nice little balance between asking for too much or asking for too little, and this is something that you need to be mindful of whenever you're running your advertising campaign. For us, the meaningful information would be their wedding date, the wedding colors that they're having, as well as the amount of guests. And these things are important. The amount of guests would sort of give us an idea of the value of this client, right? Typically, the more guests you're having, the more money you'll be spending on stationery. So if you're doing 20 invitations, of course, 100 invitations will cost more than doing those 20 invitations. So we can sort of assess the revenue potential from a particular client by knowing the guest amount. Then we also have the wedding date, which will help us to know how soon this person will likely want these kind of stuff. So you will know in your industry what kind of details would make sense for you. So if using the plumber example as an example, right? Here could be, by what date would you like this project to be completed, right? So it's sort of helping you to gauge the urgency that these people have, right? And then of course the wedding colors, because it is the wedding colors that we'll be getting from them so that we can actually send them samples in their wedding colors. So once they click this and they hit request sample, then again they'll end up on this page, which is a part of the main website, Stewart's Greetings website, which they can begin to explore on their own, right? And this is the part of the marketing strategy where things get interesting and sometimes people miss out on this part. This is actually where the real marketing takes place. The courtship, the follow-up, the dating process, as I would have used in the example. And what do I mean? What happens at this part of the process? This is where you'll be sending them stuff, emails, WhatsApp messages, conversations, to actually help them to trust you, believe in you, know about your products and service more, know about how you can help them to solve their problem, show them things that will build their trust, customer testimonials, even more customer testimonials, continuing to add value. Remember when we started, we said give, then ask. The same thing begins to take place here, right? So on their own, they can actually click around and explore the different things that we do. They can click invitations, they can go here, they can find a category, they can click, and they can look around, right? This is what they're doing on their own. But on the back end, they will be getting a message. So I'm going to actually go inside WhatsApp to show you an actual example of what happens immediately after filling out that form. So of course I will need to blur this conversation just in respect for the client's details and privacy, right? But this is an actual example, right? So, and this one came in today, and we had several that came in today, by the way, right? So it says, congratulations on your steps toward marriage. Your wedding date is on June 22, 2025. So they would have entered this information. So all I did, I created an automation that pulled in the information that they gave us so that we can use it to personalize the message that we send back to them, right? We will be sending you some wedding stationery samples in your wedding colors, navy blue and burnt orange. They gave us this information. So this makes it look like we are personalizing. Well, this allows us to personalize the message. Prices will also be given based on your guest amount, 160, right? Hold tight as we process your request for the breathtaking wedding stationery samples. And in addition to this, we also send them our free wedding checklist, which is a PDF that has about 78 things or tips, pointers for them to use to plan their wedding, right? So this is what they get immediately after filling out the form, right? So what we do, and I'm going to bring it over into my CRM, which I use to actually nurture these people, right? So here I'm inside the CRM that I use, which is High Level, right? It's called Go High Level. It's probably one of the, well, not probably, I believe it is the best marketing tool out there for this kind of stuff, right? Really amazing, really wide application, and I'll do a full-fledged video. In fact, I started doing some videos, so I may link to some of those at this point in this video, right? But very, very decent tool, right? So you see SMS here, but what I did, I turned my SMS functionality into in High Level into WhatsApp messaging, right? So wherever I see SMS, it's really a WhatsApp message. So they get that message, right? This is what they get, right? And in addition to an SMS, which is a WhatsApp message, in our case, they also get an email, which is pretty much saying the same thing. You know, congratulations, the date, samples will be following up, and then they also get the checklist. So this is what that automation looks like. From our end, from my office, right, we would see this and we will go in. So I'm going to actually trigger that conversation now. Trigger that, right? So here inside that same conversation, which is this one, so I'm using the WhatsApp app here. So this conversation is in WhatsApp itself, and this is that version, same conversation, but viewing it from High Level's standpoint, right? So it has the details here that I just read, which is you're getting married in June 22, blah 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 blah, right? Samples coming up. So what we do now, we simply I created some automations that we can trigger by tagging these people with their colors. So let me do that now. So instead of manually sending samples and copying and uploading or attaching samples, I have these pre-built. So I'm going to add a tag, and I'm going to call it blue and yellow. I know that her colors are blue, navy blue, and burnt orange, but blue and yellow is pretty close. It can give an idea as to what it will look like. So I'm going to tag it and just simply wait, right? So I've tagged the conversation, and as you can see, a message came in. So let's view it from WhatsApp's end. So this message was just sent to this client thank you for sending your color details. I'll send you a few samples of essentials. First, invitations, programs, souvenirs, guest books, and welcome signs, right? So by simply adding that tag, I triggered an automation that will go through now and send this bride some picture samples of their stationery, right? And I'm hands off. You notice another message was sent just now, right? And I created what we call some wait time. So first image was sent, right? I'm talking to you right now, and this is actually being sent. How awesome is that, right? Another sample was sent. So by creating these delays, what it does, it creates the feel as if it's an actual human being talking to the client. And this is something that you could actually deploy for your own business, where you could be sending samples of your work, your portfolio, and other things that will showcase your brand and help to build credibility, right? And all of this is taking place while emails are also going out to these people, right? So if I should jump over to here, right? Does it show you some examples of emails that we've sent to brides in the past, right? So these emails goes like this: avoid wedding headaches, right? If you click this, these are actual tips. And if you notice the formatting of the email, it's very text based. One of the things that you want to do when it comes on to email marketing. So this is a huge video right now, right? because it's touching a bit of everything. So email marketing, right? One of the things that you want to do is actually to not make your emails too image heavy, because these are the things that will cause your emails to immediately go into spam. Text-based emails looks more, or not organic, but more natural, like it's coming from someone, because that's how most people send an email, in the typing it out and hitting send. So you want to mimic what is natural as often as it's possible, right? So I'm giving some tips here. Expect a few plot twists, delegate like a boss, make a list, and a whole bunch of other tips. And then I end the email with a nice little photo of me here and a picture of my office in the background, the same shelf that you saw the client looking at, right? So that's the overview of how my advertising strategy works. So it's not just about running Facebook advertisements. It's about running the Facebook advertisement and really bringing your customers or prospective customers, your leads, through a journey before actually making the sale. So what will happen here? So let me jump back over into WhatsApp. These samples are being sent, and eventually it will reach a point where it automatically asks the client, potential client at least, which of these do you like best? And then that's where a member of my team will humanly engage with the client, maybe talk to them about different things. And also we may trigger automations too, like how the process works. And we have some pre-made things. Once certain questions are asked, it will trigger an answer, and that helps to make the process very efficient and also build the conversion, right? So I know that this video was quite heavy. A lot of things was covered, and of course I will be deep diving into these individual components so that you understand exactly how you set up these kind of automations, how you set up these kind of emails, how you even, what high level is all about, how we go about doing the ad campaign itself, or even designing the ads and writing the copy for the ads, right? So if you found any value in this video, if this video will help you to get a better understanding of your advertising strategy and what happens from step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, then please give this video a like, and of course drop a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to hear from you and respond to you. And until next time, peace out and take care.